Hello YouTube, it's Crazything here, the airbrush guy. I'm going to do something a little different today. And I completely understand if you don't watch this video. I'm going to do a video about me and not my artwork. I mean, it's, I guess, about both, but this is a very vulnerable video. Probably a little lengthier than you're going to want to watch anyway. And that's okay. If you're here to see some artwork, I've got a ton of airbrush work and videos for you to check out. Just check them out. The videos there on my YouTube. There's more videos than you can watch. But in this video, I don't have all my projects behind me. I'm not showing you anything new. I'm here to answer a lot of the questions that I've been getting lately. And I know that I won't have high views on this video, but I want it to be there. I want it to exist. So that's kind of why I'm over here, and I'll let you know what's going on. I didn't write any questions down. I didn't write any answers down, so there's no editing. I don't know how to do that. I can't play with the video and make it fancy. Hopefully I'll get all this in one shot because I don't want to do it all over again. I don't know how to edit all the stuff together. This is raw. This is me. Good, bad, and ugly. Get it all. You get the road noise from the road. You get the trains in almost every video because I don't live far from the tracks. You get the airplanes and helicopters because I'm not far from an airport, but I am in Cecilia, Kentucky. I'm not in a big city, but sometimes it sounds that way. So you don't get the amazing audio quality or the amazing lighting. You're getting sunlight. This is me in reality. That's not enough for a lot of people, and that's okay. I am over 434 years old now, so I've got a lot of experience doing this. I'm also over 8 foot tall. That is my running joke because of this is the internet. There's so many people on here pretending to be things they're not. I'm not going to I could give thousands of examples, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to make a video with me rambling about me and the questions that people have. Like I said, I didn't write anything down. I didn't prep it, and I hope I don't bore you too bad. But if you are interested in me and my family, thank you for hanging out with us. I was born here, raised here. Never had a desire to live anywhere else. I've always been within this area. Had a wild life growing up. The name Crazything, believe it or not, I earned when I was 14 years old. And I've been earning it ever since. It's ironic because I just thought of this yesterday. I was airbrushing at a local business, Lakers, down in Stevensburg, Kentucky. While I was airbrushing on the wall, on the building, you ought to check that video out. It dawned on me, I don't know why I didn't put this together, but West Hardin Middle School is 100 yards away. And I remembered at that moment the classroom I was in when I was given that nickname. I remember the girl that gave it to me, and it just stuck. I was always drawing at the time, so I started putting I sat there, right, and I figured out a signature, and it stuck with me. Started putting it on all my drawings. See, again, the reality, I can't edit that out. You got to deal with it the same as I got to deal with it. Hoping you can hear me. I'm not going to redo the video because of it. I can't. Got too much time invested. I don't have time to redo these videos 1,000 times waiting for everything to be quiet. I can't control trains. Sometimes they're annoying, but what isn't? Everything gets on your nerves at times, right? All right, so that is the beginning of Crazything. I've always been artistic. I've always loved to create. I've never been good at sitting still very long. I spent years doing construction work. I loved it because I was building things. People always wanted me to tattoo stuff. It's like, get into tattoos, get into tattoos. And I tell you, there's a lot of ugly tattoos out there. And I always thought, man, I could fix those. I know I can do better than that one. You know, I could close my eyes and do better than that one. I was never a fan of the neck and face tattoos, and some of them are just awful looking. Like, why did you do that? Why did you make that choice? Art to me is more than that. It needs more meaning. But, you know, I never could get myself into doing tattoos. It's just not my thing. Now, I have a couple. I have this one that stands for friendship. And this one. This is me for everybody to see. This is Crazything. I put it on my sleeve. My arms are one of my best looking thing on my body, probably. So why not put it there for everybody in the world to see? So me and my wife, we got together at a young age, like 19, 20. We've been together ever since. She is absolutely an amazing woman and has saved my life so many times. And now I have two beautiful children, a 10-year-old and a 15-year-old, that I thrive and try so hard every day just to do good at what I do, to lead them by example every day. So that's me and that's my family. My art, well, you see what happened was 9.5 years ago on Christmas, my mother and my uncle got together and bought me an airbrush kit. And let me tell you, it was amazing. Back then, I paid my bills and that was about it. I didn't really have a lot of extra. And I know a lot of times I would work 2 jobs and just, you know, make sure wife was taken care of and we had things. And so getting that was an amazing gift because I'd been told before I should try it, but I wasn't willing to invest the money in what it took to get started. Like, no way, you know. So I opened the package up, I plugged it right in, and the first thing that I ever airbrushed, which I get asked a lot, is actually the styrofoam that the package, that everything that came in. I opened it up, and the first bottle of paint I grabbed was green. I remember opening it up, poured it into the airbrush gun, not knowing anything about what I'm doing. And I looked around and found a piece of styrofoam from the packaging, and I airbrushed a skull right then and there. I don't have that anymore. He got thrown away years ago. It wasn't very good. I had no idea that, you know, people were going to want to see that years and years later. I get asked so many times, what was the first thing? But that was it. That was the first thing. That was 9.5 years ago. So I would come out here on the weekends, and I used to think that alcohol is what brought my creativity out. So I'd come out here, and after drinking way too much, I'd get the airbrush gun out and I'd go to town and practice and mess up everything I touched. Well, a couple weeks ago, we celebrated 7 years of sobriety. I don't advertise that. I don't know how I feel about telling you guys on YouTube, honestly, because that's not something I share. I don't ask for pity votes or a pat on the back. That's something for me and my family, and an example for my children, is to show people that it can be done. But the biggest reason I mention it is to let you know what I do now. I told you some of my past that's led me to here. Next thing I know, after lots of practicing and getting sober, sobriety, you need to fill those voids and those extra times and get out of your head and find healthy things to do, you know, diet and exercise and hobbies and more time with your family and things, because you got to feel that. And I did it out here in the shop. Oh my goodness. Thousands and thousands of hours of research and airbrushing and painting and just flat out airbrushing everything that's got anywhere close to me. I've got murals over there on that wall that are ink pen and pencil that I spent hours, hundreds of hours on that wall, just staying busy, just practicing and honing skills that I had no idea later on would lead me to where I am now. And so that's what happened. I practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced. I can thank my sobriety for it. I didn't need alcohol to be creative. If it's inside you guys, it's already there. When my wife said she was pregnant with my first son, I knew I had to get out of construction. I went and worked at the factories because I knew it was a steady paycheck and had all the benefits I needed. So that's what I did, and I've always excelled at everything I did, whatever it is. I put 150% in. That's what I did at the factory. I excelled. I learned how to do everything, learned how to operate everything. I'd take people's overtime, and I'd work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and just do the best I could do at what I was doing. And then I learned that that's not what I should be doing. After 11 and a half years, I finally figured it out. I worked night shift. It didn't work with a family, so I took a day shift job here closer to home. Done that for a couple years while I started working on this. I really loved airbrushing. I loved expressing myself and creating stuff. So, you know what? I thought, I'm going to build a part-time business. So that's what I did. Crazythingart was born. Like, let's do this. Because there was people that were asking me for stuff. Like, I'd say, yeah, guess what I do in my spare time? And I'd show them, I'd pull up pictures on my little push-button phone. And it was a brick. It wasn't a smartphone. It was, and I'd show them these little itty-bitty, horrible, horrible pictures that you couldn't hardly see. And they'd be like, oh, wow, can you make me something? Well, there's an idea. How about I make you something? Okay, yeah. Somebody wants me to make them something. They want me to airbrush something. All right. So that's what I did. I would airbrush. Well, then I'd create them something. Well, now I've got a new picture to show somebody. There's something new I just created. So, and it started snowballing. Well, then the more time that I would airbrush, not only did the better I got, and the more pictures I have, the more people wanted to pay me to do stuff for them. And I'm like, ooh, that's a good feeling right there. And that's that fever everybody gets. Whether it's, I got a Cricut and I learned how to use it, and now people want me to make them cups or put stuff on pieces of wood, and they get that fever, like, ooh, I could make money doing this. Ooh, I could turn this into a business. And I got that fever, and I was just like, oh my goodness, people were paying me to do this. So then next thing I know, like, my uncle brings me a tailgate. Somebody brought me a hood. Somebody brought me another hood. Somebody brought me a motorcycle. And this whole time, and now I'm starting to pick up on canvas plates, license plates, and I figure out how I do the research. I learn how to do shirts and clothes. And then I realized that the more I practice, the more I stepped away from the stencils and developed my own style, my own freehand style. Good or bad, love it, hate it, whatever, but it's mine. It's my style. So then, am I boring you yet? The more time that I put into airbrushing, guys, the more people want it. Wow. And that blew me away. So I started doing shows and events and putting myself out there and telling everybody about what I wanted and what I did. I airbrushed my own truck. I airbrushed my wife's vehicles. And I'm just airbrushing anything. There wasn't enough time in a day. So I was working at a local factory, and I was doing shows and events and working out here, and like that. I was 25 hours a day. I was invested. But I remember one June, there happened to be 5 Saturdays in that June, and I had events every weekend. I had booked them and booked them and booked them. I was like, yep, I booked some of them months in advance. I paid for these events. I'm going to these events. I'm going to set up. I'm going to show people my artwork. So that's exactly what I did. Well, the factory, when I first started working for them, they were 40 hours a week if you're lucky. When I first started that closer to home day shift, I was like, yeah, that works out great. Well, they started getting bigger and bigger, and what meant that they needed more hours. And me being one of their top guys, they were like, because back then they wanted me to become a level 1, and there was only one other person in the entire plant that was a level 1, and he was working all this overtime, and I didn't want that, so I didn't take the position. Well, anyway, they told me, he said, well, you can't be off these weekends in June. We need you to work. Wait a minute. No, I have previous obligations. I can't work this Saturday. I'm going to be, 60 miles from here, set up, showing off my artwork. You know the obligations that I communicated with them all the time and told them this is what I'm doing outside of work. So I put in my 40 and then I'm done. Well, they didn't like that. So they would write me up. Okay, it's a piece of paper. I don't care. And I didn't. Like, I told them, I said, give me a stamp with my name on it, and you can just use the stamp. Save us all kinds of trouble. Just instead of me going to your office and blah, 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 talking about it, how about you just use the stamp and pretend like I signed it, because I don't care. And that was just my attitude. And I'm not saying that was the best for them and my relationship. So the entire month went by, and no, I did not show up to any of my mandatory overtime that they required me to have. Nope. I had already had this discussion with you and told you well in advance that I wasn't going to be here. It's not my fault that you couldn't find somebody else to do it in plenty of time, or didn't train anybody, or didn't cross-train. These are not my problems. So the month goes by, and at the end of the month, they asked me to go to the front office. You all know where this is going. I knew where this was going. Deep breaths. Get that feeling in your stomach. All right. So sure enough, I go in the office, and there's, the plant manager and my supervisor and production supervisor, human resources, and just everybody all in one room for me. Oh yeah, great. So they asked about the overtime, and I told them about the overtime. Well, a few months before this, I put in a request for a vacation that July, because I had been saving since my son was born for 10 years. He was 10 at the time, or 11, something like that. We've been saving since he was born to take him to Disneyland. Never had a chance to take him. I didn't make enough money. I come from nothing. I paid my bills. That was it. So we had been saving all of our change for the last 10 years, putting it in change jars or putting it in accounts to take him to Disneyland. So I'm standing there in this office, and we're having these conversations. And they said, it's not fair to us that you're not working any of your overtime. It's not fair to the other employees you're not working any overtime. And now you've got a vacation request in. We can't give you that request. We can't let you take off. Okay. So I looked at them and I said, look, every time we have these meetings, I pretend as if my son is standing right beside me. What would Dad say with him looking in my eyes? And I told him, there is nothing on this planet going to stop me from taking my son. Not you or anything else. And they said, well, we kind of figured that's what you'd say. Here's your termination paperwork. Where do I sign? And that's the day that Crazythingart was definitely born, guys, because I took off out of there. I signed my paperwork that I was terminated. I'd already knew, this was probably going to be the road I was taking. So I had a job set up the very next, I think we set it up. I already had the job. I think we set it up about 2 weeks out so that I could take my vacation. So, jobless guy took his son to Florida, took his whole family to Florida and Disney with no job. No income, no insurance no more. I'm flying by the seat of my pants, scared to death, but I knew I had a job when I come back. So I come back, I start working at a body shop where I learned a lot. Very thankful for that job. And I was working construction as well. I had a buddy of mine that needed some help in his construction crew. So I helped him. I worked in the body shop and I worked in this shop. I was working 3 jobs at once. Till eventually it got to the point where they didn't have enough work, and I did. The more time I put into this, the more people wanted. So I discussed it with the wife, talked to her. She's the love of my life. She is my breath. I was like, Beth, I think we can do it. I think we can make it. I think that if I put in more time in the shop instead of working for somebody else, that I think that we can excel and keep going. What do you think? I need your support. She said, go for it. She said, I think you can do it. I believe in you. Huh. Wow. Wow. That's all I needed. I took that and I jumped. I mean, head first into this business with everything I had. I had friends that helped me start an Etsy page. I had friends that had donated bowling balls and helmets to the shop. And, you know, I could sit here and list off names for days. But I airbrushed. And once I could come outside of my home, walk 70 feet to my shop, now I've got all day to create instead of squeezing so much, you know, minutes here and hours there. I've got all day to create, and that's exactly what I did, guys. And that's what it takes if you ever want to run your own business. You've got to give it everything. You got to push as hard. If you ain't got that drive, you better quit while you're ahead, because you've got to push. So that's what I did. And I pushed, and I pushed, and I pushed. That first year was so scary, so terrifying. Whew, guys, oh my goodness. I got a family to support. And I just did what? I just gave up these other jobs to do what? How? You know, there was nights, sleepless nights, that I was like, how can you do that? But I lead my children every day. I show them what's possible. I don't tell them they got to be artists, but whatever it is you want, go after it. You go get it. And I showed you that with God and hard work, anything is possible. Guys, I do that every day. I keep that attitude every day. And then next thing I know, my social media starts blowing up. Facebook's got, I think I'm sitting on 16,000 followers on Crazything. My personal page has about the same amount of followers. My TikTok is over 50,000 strong. I'd love to get my YouTube views and followers up as well. If you watch this video, I already know you're a subscriber. If you've been in this watching me this long, in this many minutes, I know there's only a select few of you that are going to do that. I love you guys. I truly do. You are what makes me me. So the story of Hannah, that's a hard one. She started Crazything Army. These are not Crazything shirts. These are Crazything Army shirts. She started that when I started on TikTok, and she told me, she's like, you've really got something here. You could really reach people, because that's the point. At the end of the day, I've got to reach people with my art to keep the business going, but to do what I'm meant to do. And guys, that's what this video leads up to. And I know I've probably lost most people that watch this video by now, and that's fine. Maybe there's that one person still watching. The point to all this is for me to impact in a positive way as many lives as I possibly can. Okay, so how do I do that? That's with my airbrush work. The memorial pieces that I get to do are absolutely fulfilling and heart-crushing all at the same time. The stories I get to hear from people that pour their soul out to me, and I'm honored for that. I also do pet portraits and family portraits and stuff. I do pieces I'm working on one today. Someone that's married and it's got, you know, their love always and forever with an infinity symbol and things, you know, to show affection and love and meaning and get that special gift to somebody. I get emotional and sentimental about every piece I do. I've got an attachment to every project I do. Sure, I'll put a Jack Skellington on a pumpkin and, you know, everybody's like, where's the meaning behind that? Well, that pumpkin right there, not only will it create somebody's smile, but the sale of that pumpkin will lead me to be able to get into my next project, which, you know, will sadly be for somebody that passed away from fentanyl overdose, and I'll make a video about that and try to help raise awareness of that, and then I get to create some closure and some happiness for somebody who paid for that project. So that's what I do. It all comes full circle, and I get to make those impacts, and that's why I do this every day. If I wake up tired, if I wake up, you know, where I push so hard and I'm just not in it, and I wake up in a bad mood, I fix that. I change that. I know what I'm meant to do. I know why I'm here every day, and then I get excited about what's next. When I got up this morning, I didn't know I was going to make this video. I didn't know I was going to work on the hoodie I'm working on. I don't plan that far ahead. I try to, but I can't. I woke up, this is what I feel like doing today. This is a project I'm going to work on. Let's see if I can get that one done. I'll move on to the next one. And the next one. And the next one. Because I want to do this again next month, next year, and the rest of my life. That's not up to me. I think God put me here to do this. I think He showed me everything I needed to learn through my life, through my lessons, to get to this point. Which is why this video is important to me. Regardless if anybody sees it or not, it's important to me, my soul, and my happiness. I'd love for 7 million people to see this video, but I'll be lucky to have 7. And that's okay too, because I will feel lucky to have people that are committed to what I do and that can really see the truth and what I'm doing here. That's amazing. I hope I didn't bore you too much. I think I need to stop, because I could do this all day. I've got a big heart, and I can pour it out over and over and over. But I've also got work to do, and so do you. I'm sure you've got something better to be doing by now, and I hope you smile while you do it. But I'm gonna go. Please comment for me if you've seen this video. I would very much appreciate that. Anytime you see anything I do, just drop me a comment. That helps more than anything. But for now, I'm going to go, and I'll see you in the next one.